The movie starts with Elliott and her friends traveling on a boat on her birthday. They dock the boat, and Elliott leaves to meet Ruthine. Elliott explains that she is leaving town in 22 days. They laugh about it and start making out. Meanwhile, Elliott's family is waiting for her. Her brother even made a cake for her, and her mother assures him she will be home soon. At the docks, Ro and Chelsea are talking about how Ro bought the drugs. Elliott shows up, and they leave for an island on the boat and begin setting up camp. They make tea with the drugs and drink it all at once. Ro and Chelsea ask Elliott about her dreams. She says she wants to move to the city, to live there, and doesn't want to be a cranberry farmer. Her friends get high, and then her older self appears, surprising Elliott. When Elliott asks who she is, the older Elliott explains that she's her 39-year-old future self. Elliott doesn't believe her and starts complaining about how she looks, comparing her to herself. Older Elliott shows her scars and explains how she got them. Elliott starts smiling, thinking she is hallucinating. She then asks her future self what her life will be like and asks for something good. Older Elliott explains that she's going to be a PhD student, but Elliott feels disappointed that she still isn't married or doesn't have kids, even at 40. Elliott then asks what she should avoid doing. The older Elliott says, never make out with a boy named Chad. She then tells Elliott to be nice to her mom. Later, when Elliott is asleep, older Elliott saves her number in Elliott's phone and leaves. The next day at home, Elliott's mom shows up and says they made a cake for her yesterday. Elliott apologizes to her mother, and her mom leaves. She notices her phone and starts making out with Ruthine. Meanwhile, her brother Spencer shows up in the morning and wakes her. Elliott works for the day and then takes a bath in the lake. Suddenly, a guy appears out of nowhere and scares her. He says he works there and tells her she looks like her dad. Elliott asks his name, and he says it's Chad. She feels nervous and quickly leaves. She then notices older Elliott's number in her contacts and texts her about Chad. When older Elliott replies, Elliott screams and throws the phone. She then calls older Elliott and asks how she can talk to her older self. Elliott also asks about her mother, and older Elliott says she should spend more time with her family. At the lake, Elliott sees Chad and quickly dives into the water. She then sees something in the water and gets scared. Chad sees it and realizes it's just a plant. He then asks about her boat and when she'll take him out for a ride. Elliott tells him the boat is broken, and Chad offers to help fix it. While he works on the boat, Elliott mentions she doesn't like farming. Chad asks her about her dreams, and she says she's not sure yet. When he finishes fixing the boat, he asks if they can go for a ride, but she says no and walks away. In the next scene, Elliott talks to older Elliott about Chad, saying how he fixed the boat and was really nice to her. Older Elliott, feeling emotional, makes her promise not to date him again and hangs up the call. While Elliott and her brother are playing golf, she apologizes for how she acted, and they laugh about it. Later, at home, she sees her mom playing a game and joins her. Then, she calls older Elliott and talks about her girlfriend, saying she's not into her anymore. That night, she has a dream where she and Chad are making out, and she wakes up startled. The next morning, she sees Chad having breakfast with her family. Her mother explains that Chad helped her father fix the tractor. When Elliott's mom asks Chad about his future plans, he says he's interested in biotechnology and wants to meet his grandmother. Elliott wakes up and tells Max they're late for golf. Max asks Chad to join them, and he agrees. At the golf course, Elliott finds out that their mom and dad are selling the farm. She gets upset and argues with Max, but Max drives off. She then asks her dad about it, and he says he wanted to tell her but couldn't. Feeling disappointed, she leaves. In the next scene, she tries to call older Elliott, but there's no answer. She leaves a voicemail asking if there's any way to stop it. A few days pass, but older Elliott doesn't reply. She then asks Chad to sell the boat. She realizes that even Chad knew about the farm being sold before she did. She tells him she hates goodbyes. When Chad is about to get hurt, she stops it, and they kiss. She tries to call older Elliott again, but there's no answer. She then goes to Ro and takes some mushrooms, planning to leave. Ro asks why she isn't responding, but she says everything is fine. Ro decides to join her in the woods. Elliott tries to contact older Elliott, but still gets no response. Meanwhile, Chad shows up, and he is her fantasy, and they sing and dance. The next day, Ro and Elliott laugh about it, and Elliott admits she likes a guy. Then she goes home, talks with her mom, gets emotional, and hugs her. The next day, Elliott introduces Chad to her friends, and Chad asks for a late-night ride on the boat. They leave, and Elliott accidentally drops the motor in the water. Elliott realizes that they are going to study at the same college. She ignores older Elliott's words, and they start making out. As she's about to leave, older Elliott shows up and asks about Chad. Elliott says she's been spending time with the family and getting closer to them, but she also admits she made out with Chad. Older Elliott looks disappointed. Elliott then asks why she won't tell her everything, especially about Chad. When she insists, older Elliott finally says that Chad is going to die and that she couldn't save him. She also explains that she hasn't been able to truly love anyone since then. Elliott disagrees and says she's going to love Chad for as long as she can. Just then, Chad shows up and notices older Elliott. When Elliott asks if he can see her, he says yes. Older Elliott notices how happy they are together. As Chad is about to leave, older Elliott stops him, hugs him, and then leaves. Chad and Elliott share a kiss. Later, Elliott gets a final voicemail from older Elliott saying how proud she is of her and reminding her to live life to the fullest. Elliott takes one last ride on her boat. The end. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos.